It's hot out there, so let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, offense.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the January 28th, 2026 I'm Not a Fanboy edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Have you got some questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 206-6990. And click on that QR code, KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, Kistler Law. They've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at Temple City Auto Repair. And of course, sports ball. Check out sports ball games. Make the Super Bowl more fun for you and your crew, more social and wager free. Be sure to check out joinsportsball.com. We're going to be getting into that at the start of this coming week, talking about, hey, we're going to do our own squares. It's really not going to have any emotion since the Rams are not involved, but I think it should be a lot of fun. And of course, by game day in the Ram Cave, if you're still jonesing for some Rams action, you got to check out Game Day in the Ram Cave, available on Amazon. I'm coming closer and closer, just pushing the button and letting the AI do the audio just to get the book more available and out there. Rams, Packers, fictional game. You got to check it out. I've gotten some great reviews. All right, so let's do a couple things here. So we're going to talk about 2026. We're going to talk about some opponents. We're going to talk free agency. We're going to talk the draft. We're going to talk cap. But first, let me kill some of the over-the-top, low-hanging fruit Cooper Kupp rants that have been coming my way, all right? Let's just say this, okay? Cooper Kupp was not great in 2024. He could not get open. Matthew Stafford didn't decide, I'm not going to throw the ball to Cooper Kupp anymore. He just said, I can't find him. I keep finding Nakua. That's where I'm going. This season, Kupp appeared in 16 games, caught 47 passes, for 12 and a half yards a catch, 2 touchdowns. Got his 3rd touchdown this past weekend. I'll take Davante Adams, right? The Rams made the right move. Davante Adams being on the field helped Nakua have another almost repeat performance of a spectacular season the year before and the year before that. And for goodness sakes, we wouldn't even talking about Cooper Kupp if the NFL had a clue what a catch is, right? They have no clue what a catch is. And I think the missed discussion about Cooper Kupp wasn't that first down, it was the process of the catch. What is the process of the catch anymore, right? I've seen plenty of times where what happened with Kupp would have been ruled an incompletion. And finally, I'll say this. I'm very happy the Rams moved off Cooper Kupp. No emotion here. We're not fanboys. But I will say this. I think it was Paul who left a comment the other night. This is the best argument about Cooper Kupp. If it was about money, you should have kept Cooper Kupp and not given 10 rocks to Tutu Atwell just to not play him when that dough could have been used for Cooper Kupp, and Kupp could have been the third option, right? Kupp could have been the third option. Now, maybe that delays Whittington's development. You know what he is now. It delays Mumpfield's development. You know what he is now. And, you had more speed components with Xavier Smith, different things you could have done. But, yeah, you could have kept Kupp and given him some of that Atwell money. That was a good point. I think it was Paul that made that point. But the Rams did it. And, eliminate the emotion and admit it right now. As much as we love Cooper Kupp, Kupp couldn't carry Davante Adams' jockstrap this year. Just couldn't. I know that's heresy in Rams circles, but that kind of heresy has kept the Rams relevant through the entire McSnead run, 2017 through 2025. The ability to let JJ walk, the ability to trade Robert Woods, the ability to move off Jalen Ramsey, the ability Bobby Wagner in 2022 had a fantastic year. The ability to, without emotion, make these decisions. And it was Kupp's turn to walk the green mile, so to speak. And I'm happy he's going to the Super Bowl. I'm happy for him. I would have liked to see a little deeper dive on that so-called catch, let alone the first down. And again, I said it the other night, again, the fallacy of the NFL is you got to stop making up your mind what's not reviewable, what is reviewable if you got replay assist. Someone should have looked down there and said, Matthew Stafford got face masked, flat out, right? He got a face mask, right? Look down there and just check to see, do your, whatever you call it, your virtual measurement. I don't blame McVay at all in regards to that whole timeout, throwing the red flag situation. And then to continue on with this, if Kupp's not ruled a catch on that first down, we might not even be talking about Cooper Kupp today. So, all right. All right, let's cover one more time the what happens or the things that say if you don't talk about them, you're probably a fanboy. So we are not fanboys. We are Ram fans, but we are not fanboys. All right, this one's been bugging me because no one's talking about it, right? Yeah, the secondary got torched at different times. I would say some of it is scheme and some of it was lack of talent, but let's look at the scheme thing. On a 3rd and 5 on the Seahawks' first possession, Darius Williams got torched. You want to see it? I'll show it to you. Look at this. It's 3rd and 5. Right here at the top of the screen, what do you notice? Here, I'll make it even easier. What do you notice? It's 3rd and 5. The guy on the right is Rashid Shaheed, one of the fastest men in the NFL. The guy on the left is Darius Williams, whose best years are about 2 or 3 years ago. He is a cornerback who is in his 30s, who's had a great career. I don't know where his eyes are, but that looks like press coverage to me. He pushes him out to the sideline, not expecting any help, and we know the outcome of this. Who do you blame? Was he in the wrong coverage, or did Chris Shula put him out there? You put Chris Shula out, you put him out there on an island with Rashid Shaheed, you got a problem. You got a real problem on the first possession that led to a touchdown, right? Big plays. This is what they did. Big plays. Who put him out there? Who put him out there? You can talk about, the secondary was this. Who put Darius Williams out there? Someone needs to have a conversation about that because that to me looks like press coverage. It definitely played out like man coverage, and that was the big play that set up the Seahawks' first touchdown. You got a 32-year-old corner on the fastest guy in the league. Now, you could have backed off 5 more yards, right? You still could have played a 3rd and 5 on an out route and been available there. But look at this. Within a step, and you saw how open Shaheed was on the throw. That one really bugged me quite a bit. Oh, Steeler fan Rob is in the house. How wonderful. Steeler fan Rob is in the house. Yeah, he's the guy that stuck with Mike McCarthy. All right. There you go. You got him there, Steeler fan Rob. Let's see. Bill, 2 years ago, we are 13 yards short. This year, we are 6 yards short. So frustrating. Very frustrating. Steeler fan Rob, where's my coffee mug? Did you make the exact call, Steeler fan Rob? Did you make the exact call? Steeler fan Rob said 38-17. Sorry, no mug for you, Chato. You're gone. Bill, our passing game coach is staying, no 3rd round. Yeah, I was a little disappointed about that myself. USA expat, every year is important, but this year's free agent signings and the draft will be more so. But here's the good news. The Rams aren't having to shed salary to get under the cap. They got an excessive amount of camp money, so that's good. And they got a full complement of draft picks. And we're going to talk about it if people are hitting on. They've got a wide open cap for 2027. So there's something. The Rams are in good shape. If we can remove ourselves from the emotion, which is really hard to do, this does feel like 2001. Teams should have won the Super Bowl. And I'm looking who's left. They should have won the Super Bowl. It hurts, but if we could divorce ourselves from the emotion, we can see everything stays bright going forward. Let's see. ESG, I'm hoping the Rams fix that secondary in the offseason. I agree with you. I'm not arguing with you at all on that, ESG. But did you see this? I mean, do you agree with me on this? Doesn't that seem a little insane? Doesn't that seem just a little insane? A 30-plus-year-old corner who hasn't had a great year next to one of the fastest men in the NFL. Man, that one bugs me, and I want to know, was it Shula who put him there? Bill, any other coach, Shula would be fired. Okay, I think we got a point there. We need a new defensive coordinator, but that won't happen because Shula is McVay's buddy. Now, McVay has done some hard things. I was really hoping Shula would get a job because I got to tell you, and I know it factors into personnel, but a few years ago they made a big deal how the Rams moved from the outside zone running game and went more and more they went to the gap scheme rushing game. I'd like to do something similar with the defense. It's just, hey, maybe move off this hybrid watered down Fangio system because everyone kind of figures it out. ESG, I still think the clock is going to strike 12 and Darnold will turn into a pumpkin. Hey, Vrabel's the kind of guy that can do it to him. I think 2 weeks of hearing you have no chance is going to do something to the New England Patriots. I'm predicting the Seahawks. I'm rooting for the Patriots. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. You should check out Jake Ellenbogen Rams all in 2026. It's really good. Ellenbogen does a good job. I haven't had time to see him for a while, but Ellenbogen does a good job. $5 Steve. Anyway, the Rams can get Schwartz. Are you talking about the former Lions head coach, Bears DC? Yeah, I'm up for a change. Now, I know that requires a change in personnel, but I am up for a change. ESG, there were a few weird moves the game did this game, like bringing Ronnie Rivers out. Okay, excellent point. I think I brought it up in the previous broadcast. At the end of the first half, the running back that was out there was Ronnie Rivers. That didn't make any sense to me. That didn't make any sense at all. Gilbert Gonzalez, the punt drop hurt, a few non-calls hurt, play calls hurt, but the Seahawks are a good team. Seahawks are a really good team, Gilbert, and I'm hammering the Rams. I'm not hammering the officials. The pass to Kupp should have been just a deeper dive. There was no discussion about, is it a catch, is it not a catch? And we've seen less called a catch or called a non-catch. And then the other one was the face mask. Just stuff like this inconsistency in the NFL. All it does is hurt them. It hurts them because now people are talking, the whole prop bet business and everything else. Let me get rolling here real quick here. So the Darius Williams play, I showed you that one. That one really bugged me. Yes, and so let's bring this up here. Rams go up 13-10, get the ball back with 2 timeouts, less than 2 minutes to play, about 1:40, and Ronnie Rivers is on the field, and I can't figure it out. I can't figure out why Ronnie Rivers is on the field. I haven't seen that question asked anywhere, and the Rams throw 2 incomplete passes and are forced to punt. Here's another one. JSN gets lost in coverage. If there's a guy you can't lose in coverage in the end zone at the end of the first half, let alone he split the seam down the middle that set up that play. How do you lose him? There's one guy you can't lose. You can't lose JSN, and the Rams lost JSN. So again, is that a case of physically not talented enough? Or again, is it bad coaching? Is it brain dead? I don't know, but that was horrible. And then this is the other setup here. Xavier Smith fumbles the punt, and the Seahawks recover and go up 24-13. Now, here's the thing about Xavier Smith that is interesting. Xavier Smith, up to that point, had fielded 66 return kicks. He did a little bit of a kickoff return last year, I think a couple of times this year, and punts. So kickoff returns and punts. Up to Saturday or Sunday, he had received 66 of them, regular season and postseason. He muffed number 67 and he lost number 68. And I do think it played a huge part in the loss. And I think it's going to cost him his job, and I don't think he's going to get a runway like Kyron Williams got. And And that's kind of a bummer for Xavier Smith. He was reliable in catching the ball, but, he really hasn't had a big play since, I think, week 3 against Frisco at home last year. He's not a big return guy. So the Rams are back in that mode where was it Bailey Powell? Was he the guy that was with the Rams in 2021? Last guy to get a punt return for a touchdown or something? He went to the Vikings. I can't remember his name. They ended up incorporating him into the offense as well. But I think that's the end of the line for Xavier Smith. So into the first half, beginning of the second, and boom, it's 24-13, right? That's just, what are you going to say? Good argument. I didn't make the argument. Others have made the argument. Good argument after the bomb to Nakua beats Tariq Woolen after the Woolen brain dead move. Rams made it 31-26. Should they have gone for 2? I totally see that point. I haven't been in that debate with anybody. Should they have gone for 2? I think it's more than a fair question to ask, because if you don't, it's only 31-26. You still need a touchdown. You kick the extra point, it's 31-27. We saw they still needed a touchdown. But if you make it, you kick a field goal to tie the game, right? So, and then my other ones that, again, on McVay, right? 3rd and 4, you're at the 5, and 2 incomplete passes after driving 84 yards on 14 plays in what looked like it was going to be one of those classic drives that you always remember, the drive in Ram history, right? But my thought was, if you went for it so quickly on 4th down, why didn't you try to run on 3rd just to get it a little closer? So on 4th down, maybe you're a yard away from the first down, 2 yards away from the touchdown, and Seattle doesn't know what's coming, right? I just thought, again, McVay abandoned the run. One of our conversations while watching the game was, if Stafford wasn't so freaking good, if he wasn't so good, I think McVay would play a little less reckless, right? I think he'd play a little less reckless. And then finally, the question of going for the field goal. I think it's a weak argument, especially when you see what happened. The Rams gave the Seahawks back the ball at the 6-yard line with 4:59 to play, and they couldn't get a stop, right? You could have kicked it and made it 31-30, and you couldn't get a stop. Whatever, right? I can't fault him for not throwing the flag on the Kupp drop or first down. What do you do in that situation? Because you can't stop anybody. And that's, again, Shula in those key moments. You saw, they're converting on 3rd and 10 with Darnold. I mean, it was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Brain dead lapses by the defense seem to be having. Losing JSN is inexcusable. Putting Williams on an island with Rashid Shaheed, that was inexcusable. Who thought these were a good idea? The tackling was atrocious, just terrible, right? Special teams, the bummer about the special teams is everyone's on the special teams right now. But, down the stretch after the switch, they played pretty well. Mevis is the kicker. I don't care if they bring somebody in. This guy's proven himself. Evans is the punter. I hope they bring back Jake McQuaid, who just turned 38 and he wants to play. But it's hard. It's a bummer. You got to indict an entire special teams unit because a lone return man muffs a couple of punts. But he did, and now everyone's, the special teams were horrible. Xavier Smith cost the Rams a big chunk of that game, not necessarily the special teams. I thought they did a pretty good job. Let me see. Some questions have piled up. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. $5 Steve. Let's see. We got $5 Steve here. Yes, on Schwartz, he said he's leaving if he didn't get the Browns job. All right. So I don't think there's a problem there. I would like to see a change. I would just like to see a change. I like to see a change in scheme and outlook, right? We ran the 34 for 3 seasons with Wade Wilson. Staley came in with the Fangio. Raheem kind of built on it, tweaked it. Shula's done that. Shula hasn't been horrible, but I think he got exposed. There's just things we saw that are just like, huh? When a sports writer can see it, sports writers are overblown or overestimated for their knowledge, but when something sticks out that bad, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Let's see here. ESG, did you see the 4th and 4 play where Stafford through the back of the end zone? Puku was wide open on a curl. It was painful. Yeah, I didn't see how wide open Nakua was. I know some people were taking shots at him on 3rd down, throwing to Mumpfield, 4th down, throwing to Ferguson. Ferguson wasn't open. That was a prayer. We know that. But, Stafford has confidence in these receivers, whether they're Puka Nakua or Kanata Mumpfield. We've seen those throws. If you've been watching the Rams all year, is it optimal? No, you want to see Nakua get all the passes, but the ability of Stafford to come off his primaries and go to these other guys, these 7th round picks and later round picks, means he has confidence in him. It doesn't make it feel any better, though. I kind of wish McVay would have run the ball, gotten a little closer for the 4th down play. The key part of the game, Bill says, was giving up the ball to the Seahawks at the end of the first half. Yeah, it turned the game. You could have gone in at halftime. Imagine if you go in at halftime 13-10, and then you get the stop to start the second half, and it's still 13-10 before everything starts loosening up, and you're playing ahead instead of behind. Absolutely. JSN was way too open for any receiver, much less the league's leader. The one in the end zone really bugged me because it looked like they were getting some pressure on Darnold on that one. It's like, where did everybody go? Where did everybody go? There's just guys you can't afford to lose track of. Can't, right? I know we are all here, Max Crosby guys, but do you think the Rams are? I don't think so. I don't know. We're all going to celebrate if the Rams are, but I don't think so. I will say this, it's not in my notes. I think I mentioned it the other day, there's got to be a sacrifice here, right? Someone has to feel the pain of this loss, whether it's Chris Shula, unfortunately, maybe an injured Byron Young. The Rams need to make a move to shake up that defense a little bit, get some raw meat going. Let's see. Yes, let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Bill, how much do you want to bet that Atwell ends up in Seattle or San Fran? Somebody's going to find him, and I think somebody's going to put him to work, right? Somebody is going to put him to work. Absolutely. $5 Steve. Lemon return punts for USC. Got to get him at 13 if he's there. Yeah, I saw some back and forth on Twitter. People were saying that, no, how can the Rams not draft defensive players? Well, the Rams were considered to have a good defense, and we saw what happened. But did you see the Seahawks defense, this vaunted Seahawks defense? The name of the game is offense, and you're going to stay competitive. You're not going to look like the Steelers, right, who are never competitive in the postseason. You're going to stay competitive going forward. Why? Because your offense is first rate. I don't know what you do with the second pick, number 29, but I definitely draft a receiver if he's there. My guys from the mid, they've had eyes on Mekhi Lemon for a while, and they say he's great. Everyone else is saying he's great. Yeah, I would like to bring Mekhi Lemon in and line him up in the slot there alongside Nakua and, of course, Devontae Adams. To me, you go offense. You absolutely go offense. Gilbert Gonzalez, just like the thicker kickers, only missed the whole year, was the one versus the Seahawks, snake bitten. But you know what? You're right. He hit the ones in Chicago, though, didn't he? He hit the ones in Chicago. Manny Vasquez. I'm on the side that thinks that the muffed punt cost the Rams the game. Maybe the spotlight was too big for the kid. If it was, he failed. Yeah, no, yeah. How do you get around it, right? You couple that, you pair that with the end of the first half, the botching. What happened at the end of the first half is on McVay. What happened there at the third quarter is on Smith. And yet everyone's blowing up the defense. Okay, you could blow up the secondary if you want to an extent. Okay, but now we're going to talk personnel and individuals. Well, let's talk about where they were placed, how they were put out there, and the positions they were put in. Plenty of stuff here outside of the offense, right? Plenty of stuff here to go after. ESG, I feel better if the Rams go after a veteran quarterback, but I'm not opposed to draft a corner for sure that can start right away. Again, that's that weird thing, man. You never know with these corners. I like a veteran corner myself. I really do. Is Mike Haynes available? I mean, I was a kid. I was like 18, but man, when Mike Haynes came from the Patriots to the Raiders in '83, and I'm not even a Raider fan, man, that was just night and day difference, him and Lester Hayes. Those days are long gone. Bill, how do you think the Rams will handle the Davante Adams contract? He's making $28 million next year. We have to cut that number in half. You know what? I saw that on Turf Show Times, and I saw that in a couple of other places. I would hope that maybe Davante Adams is interested in a restructure. I would hope he's super hungry for a Super Bowl. I would hope, and I think he is, and I think he fits the Rams culture. But I'll tell you this, I am not one to say, let's move off Davante Adams. Not at all, right? I think he showed more than enough. Hey, who was he abusing in this game? Puka Nacua was abusing Tariq Woolen, 6th-round pick, a guy who's got more talent than brains. He's exceptionally talented. Devon Witherspoon was getting chewed up by Davante Adams. Davante Adams doesn't do anything all offseason, gets rests, relax. I am going to ask him, hey, man, can we move that? Can we restructure and move some of that money into 2027? You got to bring Davante Adams back, right? I don't want to lessen. The offense doesn't get better if Davante Adams. I don't care who you draft. It doesn't get better without Davante Adams, because not only is he still productive, but he is a culture guy. And I've seen that, and I didn't like what I read there, and I could be wrong, right? Gilbert Gonzalez. Wow, Joe, the tight end dropped the TD on 3rd down. There you go. Yeah, he did. He did, right? And again, should Parkinson have caught it? Absolutely. Again, you still got what? 2nd and goal at the 6, or 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4 at the 6. Yeah, he should have caught it. I'm not going to argue with that. He should have caught it. But again, who's more likely to be a bum, Parkinson or McVay? I would always say Parkinson, but McVay came close to bumdom on Sunday. He made some bad calls. Let's see. Bill, cut Rivers. I want to see more of Hunter next year, or just anything of Hunter, right? We want to see some Hunter next year. Rivers is like a cockroach. He will get cut, and then he'll come back via the practice squad. Obviously, I think it tells us something about Rivers' character. The Rams like having Rivers around. I'm not opposed to that. I think if Jarquez Hunter was ready to rumble, he would have been rumbling, but he's not ready to rumble just yet. $5 Steve. Remember, Green Bay was in that position in the 2020 title game. Kicked the field goal and never got the ball back. Yeah, that was very frustrating because I was rooting for Green Bay. I was rooting for Green Bay that day. Maybe they should cancel the Maui trip and spend time in Los Angeles and learn how to tackle. Get back to basics, man. Shake up the room. Get a beast in there. And again, I like Byron Young. I don't want Byron Young to go, but I think he might be the guy that should go. And I know he has a knee issue. But I think you need a shakeup. Bill, let's see. I'm sorry. ESG. It was so impressive to see Stafford make that elite defense look average. It looked like he was playing backyard football. Yeah. I'm going to talk about Stafford here in a minute. Best Ram quarterback I've ever seen. Baby, he's going up on a level where maybe one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen, right? Yeah. Poor guy. Maybe he wants to keep playing to erase that Detroit stain. So whenever you think of him, you never think of Detroit, right? ESG, we need Buddy Ryan style of defense. I don't know if the 46 works anymore, but I wouldn't mind seeing a shakeup. I really wouldn't mind seeing a shakeup. Manuel, I think McVay didn't go for 2 because he was thinking ahead. If the Rams score a touchdown, they would have had a 3-point lead instead of a 2-point lead. A lot of truth there. I will also say this. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the game with my friends, the Mid-Valley guys, and you're watching. You saw it too. Didn't that Seattle defense look absolutely gassed? Didn't they look gassed as the Rams drove deeper and deeper on that 84-yard drive? I was super confident on that drive. I really thought the Rams would score. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, the Rams will look to free agency before making the moves in the draft. Check out yesterday's Jake's all in the video. I will. I'll check it out. You tell me to, I'll do it. Let's see here. Okay, cool. Let's keep rolling here. Guys, my name is Joe Terozzi. I was a sports writer for 21 years, and now I get to do RamView thanks to our sponsor, Kistler Law. Get the compensation you deserve. They are fantastic. They not only support us here at RamView, but they support us at Outsiders Camps. So we can't say enough about Kistler Law. And be sure to check them out if you have a need. And also sports ball games, which is becoming a little bit more than a friend. We're really happy to be associated with sports ball. And so if you're looking for a way to bring your crew together on a game day without the gambling stress or fantasy overload, try sports ball games. Free pick 'em in squares, live leaderboards, and bragging rights built in. One click and you're in. No fees, no spreadsheets, no headaches, just sports fun for you and your crew to enjoy. Whether you're cheering from the break room or the backyard, sports ball games makes every game day a team event. Play for fun, brag for real. You guys know my day job is I do pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. On here, it's called Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. And I also write books. My books are on there. But it's our sponsors, my books. You guys buy my books that allow me to stay employed in my day job. All right. So let's keep pressing on here. We got a long time to talk about the Super Bowl, so we'll get to that. Let's look at this real quick here. Rams opponents for 2026. Okay, obviously not in order. Schedule has been made. Home games are in blue. Road games are away. But the bummer is one of the home games is going to be in Melbourne, Australia. If the NFL if the players wanted to realize the players union does not support them or care about them, they would go on strike to not play these stupid games. I think it's ridiculous the Rams are have to play in one of these games. You know how far Australia is? I mean, my goodness. So who's it going to be? Probably week one. Who will it be? Cowboys, Giants, Packers, Chiefs, Chargers. Would you really take the Chargers and Rams out of LA? I don't think so. I don't know. Cowboys, broad appeal. Who would they take? Right? Maybe the Packers. Would they send the Rams, Seahawks? That would be incredibly disadvantageous to the Rams if you took their home game to the Seahawks against the Seahawks to Australia and then made them play the Seahawks get their home game, but the Rams don't against the number one opponent. But we can look at that schedule, have some fun with it. You know, off the top of my head, Rams split 2 with the Seahawks. Rams should beat the 49ers and Cardinals twice. Rams should beat the Cardinals. Beat the Cowboys. So what would that be? 5, 6. Giants 7. Packers 8. Chiefs 9. Look at this. These teams here, the Rams should take care of. You're always going to get a joker in the crowd who they'll lose to. I think the Eagles are in for a lot of change. Taxkins, I don't know if they're going to be better. Buccaneers, Raiders. I like the road opponents. Broncos might be a little iffy down the stretch. You can look at this schedule right now. Right now, you can look at this Rams schedule and think their opponents for next year, and you could see them going easily 12-5 again, almost low end 12-5. So yeah, Rams look good next year. I just hate giving up a home game. A home game before going to Australia. Just giving up a home game to go to Australia. Hate it. Manuel Vasquez, a lot of Ram fans here in Las Vegas. They'll be well represented against the Raiders. Okay, cool. I might be in Vegas during Super Bowl Sunday there, Manny. Maybe I can sit down and you can come meet me or something. All right, draft picks right now. All right, let's look at draft picks. This is the current one. Everything under third round before the compensation picks come in officially. Rams aren't getting any compensation picks. Nate Schlese did not get the Cleveland Brown job, so the Rams got 10 picks couple of these are already compensatory picks, 7th rounders and stuff. But you see the Rams have number 13, number 29. That won't change. They got number 61 and they got number 93. Those aren't bad at all. I think the 13th overall should be used on a wide receiver, big playmaker type. And then you're looking at 29, depending on what the Rams want to do. Rams have not drafted in the McSnead era, as I've said. They have not drafted a corner since in the 3rd round since David Lang in 2019. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting where they draft a corner. And we can look at free agents real quick here. Let's look at the Rams free agents. Rob Havenstein, Tutu Atwell. I think both those guys are gone. What does Higbee do? And how much do you give him to come back? Because you like him. He's kind of contributing when he's out there, but he's not out there a whole lot. So you give him just dirt money to come back, or is this guy going to retire? Cam Curl needs to come back, right? If everyone's preaching how bad the secondary is, Cam Curl needs to come back. You're not going to be a better team. Like I said it about Devontae Adams, you're not going to be a better team without Cam Curl, right? Jimmy G is interesting. I'll talk about him in a second. Kobe Durant may have played his way to a second contract, but it's not going to be a big money contract. Akilla Witherspoon, gone. Roger McCreary, I wouldn't mind seeing him come back. You know, these other guys, Troy Reader, DJ Humphries, Quisenberry, gone. Keir Thomas. Justin Diedick, I think, will be back, but these are restricted free agents. And then, but Troy Reader, he had a great year on special teams, and you're seeing what's looming for the Rams in 2027. I think the Stafford issues will be off the table by that time, and so will the Devontae Adams issues. But I expect Nakua to be extended this season. And then you see everybody else. Dotson, Avila, McClendon. We don't know where we're going to be with Parkinson. Kobe Turner. You see all these. The Darius Williams stuff will be settled before we get to that place in 2027. All right, let's see here. Free agents, we talked about that. Salary cap. Now, there's all over the yard. Everyone's projecting salary cap here. They're actually working in restructures. They're working in who gets cut. I'm going to go, I think it's with over the cap, because I looked at all these different ones. Over the cap has the Rams with 45.6. So I took the one in the middle. And then the Rams have 178 rocks right now set up for 2027, which gives them massive flexibility. We've been talking about Darius Williams being a cap casualty this coming season. He's under contract, but his guaranteed money is very limited, and so his dead cap hit would not be huge. And I think he's done. I think Darius Williams is done. I went searching for who's the good candidate for a restructure if the Rams wanted to do a restructure, and the name that came up was Alaric Jackson. And then ultimately, we're looking at Matthew Stafford. He is under contract. But I think at this point, I think we'd all be in agreement, and I'll take your guys' yay or nay on this. If Matthew Stafford decided he wants 60 rocks for 2026 and 2027, would you give it to him? I would. If Matthew Stafford came back and said, hey, man, I want 65 rocks next year and the year after that, would you give it to him? I would. The thing about Stafford, though, because of his beating he took in Detroit, he's smart. He'll take more, but I don't think he's foolish enough to demand so much that it would become a detriment to the team, because if the team suffers, he's going to get clocked, right? And I don't think he wants to get clocked anymore. So there we go. All right, let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Bill, do you think the Rams would open up on the road in Seattle? It would be a great matchup to start the season. I'm good with that game being on the road, but usually those heavy overseas games, Brazil, and I'm thinking Australia, I think those games are played at the start of the year, and I really hope they don't take the Rams home game with Seattle and make that the season opener and to open the season with big ratings, because then we're jobbed, right? We're jobbed. So yeah. Yeah, I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see that happen at all. But if you have to open in Seattle, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I think the opener will probably be in Melbourne, but I don't want it to be against the Seahawks. Let's see. Manny Vasquez, I enjoyed that, Joe. Yeah, man, I'll let you know. I'll be in touch. I'll tell you where I'm staying. I don't make any of the reservations or anything like that. I was stressed about this because I generally don't want to be around anybody in the Super Bowl. But when the Rams aren't playing, I'm a little more affable to do stuff like that. Plus, they're my friends, the guys I used to write with. It's kind of like our retreat together. ESG, in any other company, Stafford would have gotten a raise for what he has done this past year. Yeah, it's just the way it works, right? It's just the way it works is that, the salary cap and everything. But I have no problem. If they extend Stafford for 2 more years and he gets hurt next year, I'm not going to be upset the Rams did that, right? This guy's playing at phenomenal ability, right? I would get him in whatever hyperbaric chamber or whatever he needs to do, circulate his blood, give him a masseuse, massage, whatever he needs to be ready to play. And also the one thing we do know, Stafford doesn't even need to work out in August, right? We knew this, right? If you're a Ram fan, you knew it wasn't that big of a deal. We were saying it here. Until he misses a game, it's not an issue. And everyone was looking for some outrageous hyperbole to blow everything out of proportion about his back injury. And I think he just tweaked his back, and they were playing it safe. And he doesn't, he hasn't worked out. He hasn't been throwing the ball. He's Matthew McFrickin Stafford, right? He's Matthew McFrickin Stafford. In Stafford we trust, right? $5 Steve. I think the Australia game is week 1, and if Seattle wins the Super Bowl, they get the first game at home. So Rams only get Seattle in week 1 if Seattle loses the Super Bowl. Okay, Steve, you looked that up. I trust you. My thing is, isn't that inherently unfair? Isn't that inherently unfair to take that kind of a home game away from the Rams and then still make them go to Seattle? And I'm not into fairness, but, I am into common sense, which sometimes, you wonder what the NFL thinks, right? You wonder what they think. All right, let's keep moving here. Calendar. I didn't print this out. I'll start showing it. The Senior Bowl, keep an eye on that. I was looking at my notes, and I was wrong. Years ago, the Rams used to go heavy in the Senior Bowl, and then there was a period they backed off. But I was reminded that by something I read that some of these guys the Rams drafted this year, Jarquez Hunter, Terrence Ferguson, they were all Senior Bowl guys. Senior Bowl used to be a big place for the Rams, so keep an eye on the Senior Bowl. That's January 31st. New league year begins March 11th. That's when you can sign everybody, free agency and all that kind of stuff. Everything post Super Bowl from February on through is about, everyone's going to make their cap casualty cuts and get everything kind of lined up for free agency. And of course the combine and everything. Annual league meeting is always interesting, March 29th through April 1st. And then the big one, of course, it's in Pittsburgh this year. April 23rd to 25th, NFL draft. And the Rams are actually a team that you got to watch all 3 days now, which is kind of interesting with the Rams, right? So those are the big ones there. Dolphins hire Jeff Hafley, former Green Bay DC. Baltimore hires Jess Minter, former Chargers DC. Giants hire former Baltimore HC, John Harbaugh. Atlanta hires Kevin Stefanski. Tennessee hires Robert Saleh, and he hired Brian Dable as his OC. That's a pretty good match. Cam Ward should be happy. Cleveland hired Todd Bunkin. Bummer for us. Pittsburgh hired Mike McCarthy. Bummer for Steeler fan Rob. And I like McCarthy. Buffalo hired Joe Brady. I guess. And Las Vegas has interviewed their final candidates are Denver passing game coordinator Davis Webb and Seattle offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. So we might not hear anything on that. If I would think Clint Kubiak would be the hot property here and match him up with Fernando Mendoza. So we might not see anything on the Vegas end until, mid-February. And then in Arizona, Mike LaFleur from the Rams was interviewed. Anthony Weaver, the DC in Miami, was interviewed. Campanella, the DC and the Jaguars, was interviewed, and Ron Rivera was interviewed. Please, Monty Ossifort, Arizona Bidwells, the Cardinal organization, please hire Ron Rivera. Please hire Ron Rivera. That would just be marvelous for the Rams going forward. Future contracts, players to expect to see in camp and on practice squad next year. A.J. Akiri continues his run with the Rams. Dylan McMahon, True Edwards, Brennan Presley, Tyler Scott, Tanner Ingle, Cam Lampkin, Elias Neal. The linebacker was brought up actually for the Seattle game. Defensive lineman Bill Norton and tight end Mark Redman have all been given futures contracts by the Rams. All right, let's see here. Gilbert Gonzalez, can the Rams do like the Dodgers and defer some of Matthew contract to give him more? Again, yeah, you can. That's the advantage that some people are talking about that I trust. I'm not a numbers guy as much, but because there's so much space for 2027 that some of this money could be put on the back end. And that gives the Rams enormous flexibility. This is almost, how would I say, if the Rams had won the Super Bowl and then we're coming back with this salary cap situation, this collection of draft picks, everyone would be saying it's unfair, almost like the Dodgers are being considered unfair, right? So yeah. Yeah, I think that's that's a definite possibility, right? ESG, the overseas game should always be an NFC team against the AFC team, or if it is NFC, not your division. Yeah, but they did. What did they do? Chiefs, and was it Chiefs and Ravens this year? Was that in Brazil? I think that was in Brazil. I don't think the league office's $5 Steve cares what's fair or not. Remember, Rams had two short week Thursday games this year, while most teams have one. There you go. Manny Vasquez, Stafford deserves it, but he's already the number one earner in NFL history. And while the money is important, he has a chance to cement his legacy as one of the greatest. So hopefully he's not looking to max out. I don't think he is, and I think he understands. I think he understands. His wealth is generation upon generation. I think he's at the 362 plus million mark. He's going to be fine. And I think he's wise enough to know that, where was Lamar? Lamar Jackson's going to make 74 next year. He's not going to the Super Bowl next year. Dak Prescott's going to make it over 60. He's not going to the Super Bowl, right? I think Stafford's wise enough to know that he's not going to do that. Yeah. Gilbert, no defers in NFL, but Rams can convert salary to signing bonus to get more cap space. There you go. This past year, ESG, the Brazil game was Chiefs versus Chargers. Okay. And the Chargers took the hit. There you go. Division opponents. So, they could job the Rams and take away that home game against the Seahawks. Yeah, that's pretty bogus. All right, let me get going here real quick. Right now, I'll tell you, I am leaning Seahawks winning this game. I'm not absolute on it, but I am absolutely rooting for the Patriots. I'll tell you why I'm rooting for the Patriots. One, I do not want an NFC West team winning a Super Bowl. I don't want to hear about them all year. What I want is a falling apart. What do I want to see? A great Super Bowl? No, I don't. A great Super Bowl for me would be Patriots win 42-3 and Darnold throws 7 picks. That would be a great Super Bowl for me because the hangover of that going into 2026 would be marvelous, right? So that's what I want to have happen. I want the Patriots to win because the other thing is that everyone hates the Patriots, and that's fine. Start hating the Patriots again. Great. Even though with all that Spygate stuff and everything, I never really hated the Patriots. I always marveled on how they stayed so consistent to dynasty level for 20 years because players like Tom Brady didn't max out. He always took all those benefits for the team. And everyone just kind of Patriot hatred syndrome is a little bit like Trump hatred syndrome, right? It gets a little off the rails. And if the NFL is going to be, the fans are going to be off the rails focusing on the Patriots, that's great for the Rams, right? That's good for the Rams. And so I want the Patriots to win. I want them to win 42-3. I want 7 interceptions by Darnold. I think who was talking earlier that maybe this love fest for Sam Darnold comes to an end. I don't hate Sam Darnold. I loved him at USC. And you know what? Give him full credit. He did not melt down. 4 games against Chris Shula's defense, 7 interceptions, 16 sacks. He did well. Seahawks beat the Rams. And he had everything to do with it, right? He converted what was given to him. $5 Steve, I haven't decided if I'm watching the Super Bowl yet. Oh, you got to watch the Super Bowl, man. It's a national holiday. You got to watch it. This loss was in the realm of 76 for me. I'll tell you what, Steve. Yeah, for me, part of that issue was I had to go to credentials meetings. The reason I broadcast on Sunday night was I was in credential meetings Monday and Tuesday. And so, I mean, I'm in there from 8 a.m. till 8 o'clock at night. So I was fortunate enough I didn't have to watch. So I got a chance to decompress until today. And that was a tough loss. It really was. It was a tough loss. Tim Burns, I want Darnold to throw 500 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 to Kupp. And Sam puts the final dagger in that fraudulent hellhole state of Minnesota. So they'll feel bad. I think they've moved on, right? I think the football universe will move on. I don't know. I don't hate Sam Darnold. I do not hate Sam Darnold. I hate what he did to the Rams, but yeah, I imagine Minnesota feels pretty bad. And can you imagine being the Jets right now? It's like, oh, we had our Broadway Sam and we blew it. The Seahawks, Gilbert Gonzalez, the Seahawks. I guess you're rooting for the Seahawks. Winning in the Niner home will hurt San Francisco forever. Did you guys see there was a lot of bad blood shared over social media between Seahawk fans and 49er fans? There's a lot of bitterness there. Yeah. Gilbert Gonzalez was 76th the year the Revs flagged Tom Mack when he did not move an inch. No, I think you're thinking was that Charlie Cowan in 74. 76 was the Ron Jesse was in the end zone. They said he wasn't. It was the Bobby Bryant game, the blocked kick game. All painful. Let's all just wade into each other's nightmares of our youth, right? Let's look at Rams history real quick here. Not a lot today. On this date, 22 years ago, Elroy Hirsch passed away at the age of 80. I'm still stunned that Hirsch's number is not officially retired. It was kind of like deactivated, but they gave it back to Von Miller when he was here, and then they just really didn't deactivate it again. So I'm not on the air tomorrow. If I could go on the air tomorrow, I will, because we're in that season now. We get to talk draft. I probably wouldn't go as long. But on this date in 1971, it was the draft, and the Rams drafted Joe Sweet, wide receiver, and future Patriot standout NFL agent Randy Vataha, special target for Jim Plunkett. On this day in 1972, I'd be curious to know what $5 Steve thinks, is the Rams traded Deacon Jones to the San Diego Chargers for Jeff Staggs, a second round 30th overall in 1972, and a second round 31st overall in 1973, and a third round pick in 1973. Who did they get? Well, in 72, they drafted Jim Bertelsen. In 73, they drafted Colin Bryant. And in 73, they also drafted Tim Stokes, who they got some clicks out of in a trade deal. Also on this day in January 29th, 1973, the Rams sent Willie Ellison, who was a second-round pick in 67. They sent him and Pete Beathard to Kansas City for backup linebacker Bob Stein. But they also got a second-round pick. This was a Klosterman special. They got Bob Stein, Jim Youngblood. The second-round pick turned into Jim Youngblood, and the fourth-round pick turned into Eddie McMillan. Pretty heavy stuff there. Go Don Klosterman, needs to be in the Hall of Fame. On January 29th, 1974, the Rams drafted John Cappelletti, 11th overall, and Bill Simpson, underrated, 50th overall out of Michigan State. The Cappelletti one, I remember people were saying, what are you doing that for? McCutcheon had just run for 1,000 yards. Bertelsen ran for 854. But I think the philosophy was best player available, and they took Cappelletti. Cappelletti gave the Rams 5 solid seasons. Born January 29th, 1968, Aeneas Williams, who we would love to have rejuvenated and brought back, and Quentin Lake tomorrow turns 27 years old. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see here. Tim Burns. Let's see. Manny Vasquez. Let me give Manny Vasquez. Darnold didn't fold, so credit him, but our secondary definitely made him look better. $5 Steve. Xavier Smith is the winner of the Tom Dempsey NFC Title Game Award. There you go. Let's see. Tim Burns. Hey Joe, going to the time management, play selection, and flipping to Corum again when Kyron was doing well. McVay isn't learning. Yeah, we talked about that at the top of the show. The time management stuff, the play. I talked about it specifically, the time management at the end of the first half, and then the play selection when it was 3rd and 4 at the end on the Rams' final drive. If they knew they were in 4-down country, which obviously they were, down by 4, they should have run the ball and maybe made it a 4th and 1. A 4th and 1 at the 3 or 4th and 1 at the 2, and then it's maybe 1 extra yard for a touchdown. And I think in those kind of situations, you would have kept the Seahawks guessing more. But 4th and 4, they knew the Rams were going to pass. Obviously, they dropped everyone into coverage, right? They dropped everyone into coverage. Let's see. ESG, if the Rams would have advanced to the Super Bowl, they would have beaten New England, but Seattle doesn't have Stafford. They have Sam, so there's a chance. Yeah. There you go. I'm all in on that one. Let's see where we at here, guys. Boom, boom, boom. I'm trying to see what's up there. Lemon. Yes. Lemon. Take less. Oh, lesson is take the points. Slim Hansen, Iowa. Man, I hope you didn't get hammered in that rainstorm there, or that snowstorm, man. I made that point. That you could have taken the points, but you wouldn't have gotten the ball back. They gave Seattle the ball back at its own 5 or 6 yard line with 4:59 to play, and we couldn't get the ball back, right? I think it was the right thing going for the touchdown. I just think the play calling was too much, right? And again, I'll make that point again for everyone that wasn't here at the time. I think the fact that you have Matthew Stafford allows Sean McVay to continue to dream big when he needs to kind of scale things back a little bit, because Stafford is so amazing. He just says, I can get away with anything, and he should have brought it back down a little bit, run the ball a little bit more, set up a 4th and 2 or a 4th and 1, and then you're 1 yard away from a first down, 2 yards away from a touchdown, put Seattle in a bind in what they're going to do. But 4th and 4 from the 6, they all dropped into coverage. They knew, right? They knew. Let's see. $5 Steve, that hurt Joe time, but Jack Youngblood made it easier a few years later. Yeah, still 3 years later, man, that one's brutal. Manny Vasquez, hey, Joe, do you think that McVay showed he had no confidence in defense? Absolutely. I think there was something there. Absolutely, I think that. Slim Hansen, I agree they should have kicked the field. But proud of the Rams in the season. No, it was a great season. I think the hard part is, Slim, is just what was left on the bone, right? That's the hard part. That's the part that's so brutal to get over. It's like, man, what was left on the bone? So there we go. Slim Hansen, who do you think will win the Super Bowl? Hawks will, in my honest opinion. Yeah, I right now, obviously, we're over a week away from making final picks and all that kind of stuff. I think the Seahawks are going to win. I do. I give the Patriots a chance because of Vrabel. I'm rooting for the Patriots. I do believe that there's going to be a moment maybe where Darnold comes back down to earth. And as I said earlier, before maybe you clicked on, brother, I said I'm hoping it's a 42-3 Seahawks loss. I want the Patriots to win. I want Darnold to throw 7 interceptions because I want them miserable, and I want the hangover stretching into the Seahawks off season. Yeah. So I want them to be listening to Ringo Starr singing "It Don't Come Easy," right? When that moment comes at the end of it. And I like an evil empire, and to see the Patriots climb back on top, right? It's like the return of the Revenge of the Sith or something, right? It's like they're back and everyone's going to hate them. And I think I love an evil empire. So yeah, I'm all in on that. All right, man, guys, we went an hour tonight, man. We went an hour tonight. So let me back this thing up real quick. I said it at the top for those of you that missed it. I'm glad the Rams got rid of Cooper Kupp. Kupp couldn't carry Davante Adams' jockstrap this year. He caught 47 passes for 12.5 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns. Rams made the right move. Paul online brought up 1 point, and I fully agree with that, though. If you were going to give $10 million to Tutu Atwell and not play him, this is on McVay. This is another one that's on McVay. If you were going to give $10 million to Atwell and not play him, you could have let Atwell walk, and you could have given some of that money to Kupp. Kupp would have been a nice compliment to Adams and Nakua. The issue was Kupp couldn't get open. Kupp couldn't get open last year at all. And, now we like Jordan Whittington, but Jordan Whittington's not going to be the third receiver. We like Kanata Mumpfield. A little soon to say it, but I don't think Kanata Mumpfield's going to be the answer. We know Xavier Smith is kind of like a semi-gadget guy a little bit, but he's not going to be the answer either. And so the Rams need a third receiver, and we found it out this year. None of those guys are going to assume that position. So I'm happy with the move on Kupp. Eliminate the emotion. It was a smart move by the Rams, right? And I think the business is right now, I think we should ignore some of the Ram media right now that says, oh, Davante Adams costs too much. I don't think there's nothing wrong with asking him to restructure, push some money down the road a little bit or whatever. But to say we got to get out of the Davante Adams business is ridiculous. That guy was torching Devon Witherspoon. He was torching Devon Witherspoon in that game, and Witherspoon's considered one of the best corners in football. Nah, I'm not down on moving off of Davante Adams. All right. So we got it in. We got it in. Wow, PJ Vengeance. Dan Rush. What did I say, man? What did I say? Anything can happen in a game, Steve. There you go. Slyn Hansen talking. Let's see. Manny Vasquez. McVay has no confidence defense. Shouldn't Shula be fired? I'd like to see a change. I'd like to see a change in defensive philosophy. Now, I know that entails changing personnel, but I would like to see a change in philosophy. Seahawks should win big, but I remember the year the Rams were supposed to destroy the Pats, right? And don't sell Vrabel short, right? Don't sell Vrabel short. So the Patriots got a shot. Dan Rush, wow, PJ Vengeance. The word I prefer for me is spiteful. I'm very spiteful. That's the kind of person I am. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with some proud heritage. We will see you soon. If I can get on tomorrow, I'm going to try to get on tomorrow. I just want to talk more about where the Rams are. I want to take every room tomorrow. I want to sometime, if not tomorrow, Friday, I want to talk about the quarterback room. I want to talk about the running back room. I want to talk about those things and what their options are. The indicator right now is that I'm hearing is Stafford is coming back. And if Stafford's coming back, I don't want to see a change in the quarterback room, right? I want everything status quo, right? Here's the thing. You might be thinking moving off Stetson Bennett. No, I want Stetson Bennett to stick around because he's so ensconced in the system now that you're not going to get anything better unless you really got some guy you're going to develop and have high hopes for. I just wouldn't go anywhere with the quarterback, right? They're talking about Ty Simpson and all that. Nah, pay Stafford. See if Jimmy G wants to dance another year. If he doesn't, because time's clicking on his career, then maybe you go out and draft a quarterback. But I would bring back everybody in that room. All right, guys. God bless. Take care. This too shall pass. Right?